Hey there, Mission Control. Tonight we're going to do some whiteboarding. I had just a moment where I was reading some of the comments, and I've been so tired I haven't even thought about some of the stuff, how I communicate. I'm sitting here, I'm going through all these things and working them through, and then I try to do a video for you guys, and I realize, man, I like totally missed telling the whole story about why I even have a 3D printer and what we're trying to do and what I'm printing and all those types of things. So I wanted to take a moment here and just kind of whiteboard for you the problem that we're going after. So the major problem that we're dealing with is fish waste. So the fish waste, it's falling down to the bottom of the tanks, which are, let's see here, draw a picture here. So we have the aquaponic beds here, and we have the drain, usually right in the middle. The drain could also be over here depending on which lane it is. And then we have the fish tanks here that go down into the ground. Here we go. A pretty little line like that. Oh, it's a nice little line. The fish tanks are 2 feet wide by 3 feet deep, and then each section of bed is 12 feet long. And we want to create a scalable solution, meaning I don't want to just put something in for the entire lane, which can be up to 60 feet long. I want to come up with something that goes for each bed. And what we need to do is be able to take the fish waste that's down here, and we need to get it up into the media bed. Now this is a media bed system. It's not a ebb and flow system or a deep water culture. And what that means is the media bed actually serves as a filter to help filter out the solids from the water. And then we've put red wigglers, little red wigglers in there, little smiley faces, little happy smiley face worms there. And they are going around and they'll find that solid waste from the fish, and they'll eat it. And then they'll leave behind compost tea from them and really help keep the nutrient cycle going. So we will never have a large buildup of fish waste in the media bed because we have the red wigglers up there. That's something we did in our system. So the problem is, how do we, let's get this out of the way, paperwork there. How do we get the fish waste from the bottom of the bed up to the top and do it with as little energy as we can possibly muster? I mean, we don't want to be adding more electrical stuff out here unless we absolutely have to. So the best, I actually tried this. I went out and did just a quick experiment. I took a little, one of those little air pumps that you'd have for an aquarium, and I ran the air pump line down to the bottom, and I, actually, it'd be better if I just did this because it's already drawn. Here we go. Ran it down to the bottom, and I teed it in to a vinyl tube, 1/2-inch vinyl tube. Sorry, I'm not converting to metric here today. My brain is too messed up for that right now. So have the air going down here, and you don't take it all the way to the bottom of the tube. You take it just a little ways up, and then the water, the air, as it comes down and then it bubbles up here, what it does is it creates a different density in the water. That the air is lighter than water, obviously, so it goes to the top, and what happens is it starts to create a suction effect. It actually bubbles everything up due to a difference in density, and I actually lifted a little rock from the bottom here and started getting sucked up the tube. I actually had to stop it and get the rock out because the tube was so small, but that was pretty cool that it was sucking up a rock. Translated, very successful test. I let it run for a while and it was sucking up fish waste. We don't need to suck up fish waste fast. We don't need it to be like a pool vacuum that's just like, it can just go a little bit at a time. As long as just kind of constantly running at very low energy, kind of going around randomly, we can actually get this thing to work. So, enter ideas. Idea space here. How do we get these two cables here, well, lines, I guess, not cables, but we have a vinyl tube coming here and a vinyl tube coming back out. Now this vinyl tube is 1/2-inch, this vinyl tube is 1/4-inch. So the idea that I wanted to do is just have it kind of work its way through the bottom of this section, just like a, creepy crawly, those are pool cleaners. I looked up online, that inspired all this, is the creepy crawlies are great. They just kind of go around randomly, just totally randomly. And if my arm is the tube of the creepy crawly, the way that the tube is set up actually creates pressure on the creepy crawly and has it change its direction. So you get a random motion out of it because of the hose, and I just didn't want to spend the time kind of thinking of all that. So there's two problems. One, I didn't want to spend the time designing exactly how the hose dynamics would work. That's a lot of math, and it's been a long time since I've done any differential equations, so which is what you'd have to do to calculate all that movement. The second thing is you'd have to have a big pump, a suction pump. And we have those. We bought those. That was the original design for this problem, was I was going to use the pool pump and then have the creepy crawly go all the way down this lane. But that's not scalable. The pump uses 12 amps, and we have a lot of other stuff to do. So this idea uses hardly any energy because the air pump is so, I forget, it's totally less than an amp. It's way less than an amp at 120 volts. And there's not much that can go wrong. There's not really any maintenance on the air pump, right? So this is called an airlift pump. So I did this little experiment, and then you got these two tubes coming down, or one going up, one coming down. And the problem that you're going to get is if it moves around randomly, eventually they're going to twist. So that's the ultimate problem. And before you can even get to that, you have to be able to ask yourself, how is it going to move around? What's the source of locomotion? We need it to go back and forth, so it needs to travel a total distance of 12 feet. If you mount everything from the center, it's just 6 feet either direction. So the idea that I was playing around with is I just went, and the inspiration for it was I just went and looked at how they did this in the real world. Like, airlift pumps are used for dredging. It's not a new technology. They use it to lift dirt and everything up off the ocean floor, especially when they're doing archaeology, when they're going for gold, or they're down there digging up artifacts that are thousands of years old. They'll use airlift pumps to not hurt anything. And they can lift a bunch of solids and have them all filtered out, and it doesn't have to go through a rotary pump, so it's not going to chew up anything. So anyway, why don't we just put a little raft, just a little raft, and then that gets me some floating motion, right? But I still need to have locomotion. So then what I could do is I could probably take this air line and I could have it just kind of slowly push out the back end of it, just a little bit of bubble in or something, depending on the force that these tubes have on it. We can probably get a little jet, even if I had to put a relay down there and charge an air chamber and then let it just and push it, that would work. And if I kick it off to one side, so let's see here, if this is looking at the top down and this is straight back, obviously straight back has its own problems, but if I were to kick it off to the side a little bit like this, or maybe that's a little too much, just like this, then I can get some turn in it. I may not need to do that because you got the hoses that need to come in here and then go down through the bottom. And those hoses, with their pressure coming up from top, could have it go a certain direction. The dynamics of the hoses are a big problem. But the solution is so low energy that it's really worth looking at. Okay, so the problem then became, let's say we can solve that, which I haven't, but let's say we did. And the next problem becomes these tubes are going to twist. They're going to twist, they're going to get tangled up. So what do we do about that? And what we do is we need to have, it's called a rotary union, a dual passage rotary union. Somewhere in there it rotates, where you can have air going down and the vacuum coming up. And then though that can rotate so that the two up top stay stationary, while down here this thing is kind of moving around doing different things. And then these two tubes we can literally zip tie to each other so they won't get tangled up in a way that is not acceptable to us. So this is why I printed this guy. So this is my own design because if I didn't explain it good enough before, or well enough before, excuse me, I I went online and tried to find a dual passage rotary union, and I found them. They do make them, but they're $500 a piece. And the reason for that is that the rotary unions that exist, they don't exist for a cheap little idea like this. They exist for mining, drilling, large equipment, excavators, where there's lots of pressure, hydraulic pressure, air pressure, and lots of rotations really fast here on the rotating section. Now, I've already said our requirements are a lot different. We don't need to go fast. In fact, there's no reason to go fast at all. It's just a waste of energy. Slow is better. It gets us more time on the bottom to suck stuff up. So, this is the idea I've been playing around with, and this is one of two major reasons why I wanted to get the printer. So I can print stuff like this, and like I said, I've already got, I think, 12 defects. The dogs are mad that I'm in here without them. I've already got like 12 defects on this thing just from printing it. It looked great on CAD, but when you print it and it turns into something in the real world and you see the things that are wrong, already got plans to fix this. So now I want to show you, well, sorry, before I go there. So some other thoughts on this fish waste thing. It's not a big problem yet because we have low density fish, but when we get more fish, which are coming in April, we're going to have to really start dealing with this. Plus, we want to get those nutrients up into the beds, right? We want the plants to be totally awesome up there. The worms, the happy worms up there, they're really going to help out. So how can we get that stuff up there? Well, I could go take the pond pump, the swimming pool pump that I have. I can put it on casters, rollers, and I can turn it into a vacuum, right? I could go out there, and I might do that. You know what? This idea might just be too much, too complicated. Just go out there and vacuum the darn thing. That has some challenges with it. There's a lot less math involved. Just in general, the hoses, the priming of the pump, you're keeping the prime, turning it on, turning it off. It's going to be kind of hard on the pump. I could go buy a pond vacuum. They're like $600, $700. And I mean, that's what they're built for. It's just essentially a shop vac with a long tube on it. I mean, that's an idea, but then we have to be here for that, right? So how often would you have to do that maintenance? You could plan your vacations around it. That is certainly something worthwhile, but this is Real Martian. We want to try to automate things, and we want it to be scalable, right? The idea is to create a system that doesn't require people to be married to it. So even though you could do the vacuuming yourself, what we're working on is trying to make this technology available to people where they don't have to do the vacuuming themselves, and we can make it inexpensively to where these things are affordable, right? $500 for a rotary union? I don't think so, right? I want this to be like $2, $1. So this idea is one of the leading candidates just because it goes with each bed, right? I can have every single bed has its own pump, or it would probably have a centralized air pump on it, like an air compressor for the whole building. And then each bed would just connect into that line. So it's still scalable. And then very low energy, right? Very low energy and very effective at moving the solids up. Another idea that I have is probably the coolest one that I would love to build, but time is against me on this one, and that is some of you might figure it out before I'm done drawing it. Let's see here. Where's those? And okay. Those that are from my era, I was born in the 70s and then lived through the 80s, raised in the 80s. Johnny Five, man, right? This is a very cool robot design. A track-based system with articulating arms. Essentially, these are our bomb disposal units now that you see out there. But I've been toying around with some different requirements that I have that a single robot, a track-based robot, a small track-based system with a pre-programmed path in the building could actually go do a lot of the checks that we do, meaning I could put a visual system on it and have it record things visually. And this is not AI, this is not artificial intelligence. This would be a programmed remote control device essentially to start with. I could have the vacuum pump, you know, kind of, it can go around, it can do the vacuuming for us. That would be very, what's the right word? Well, it would be very robotic, you know, kind of stuff, you know, but it doesn't have to go fast. It can go slow. All this stuff can go really, really slow. I could also have this thing be able to take water samples, which is another thing that we're looking into, because the sensors that are required to check all the water, they're very expensive. But if I kind of build my own with a 3D printer, I can kind of build a water sampling kit, and I could build it in the robot so it can go around and just put a probe down, suck up some water, do a water test, use a colorimeter, and read a very simple solution to reading what's in the water. Camera, water test, and then of course vacuum, and then just general. That's pretty cool. So those are the ideas I've been playing around with. All right, so here we are at the printer. This is a Creality CR10S. It has a 13 inch by 13 inch by what, almost 24 inch, 18 inch maybe, 18 inch tall gantry, so we can make very large prints. That was one of the requirements I had for it. The Prusa is the other 3D printer that's in this range based on my research. I am not an expert at 3D printing parts or components. You can go check out the 3D Printing Nerd. Watch him a lot. Great channel and really good information there. If you want to learn more from someone who really, he's got like 10 printers. And he's also very popular. I reached out to him in hopes that he'd talk to me, maybe we could partner up or something, and I'm just not cool enough yet, I guess, but we're working on it. So what we got here, we want to do testing for the 3D printer, right? Sorry, you can tell I'm tired. We want to do testing for the shredder on the digester using the 3D printer. That's what we got. We want to rapid prototype things. We want to create ideas, get them printed, turn them into something in the real world, and see if the concepts work. Now, if the concepts from the 3D printer work, chances are we would send the solutions off to like a CNC shop or a fabrication shop. We'd send them the same files that are used on the printer, and they would actually create these parts for us. So actually have quite a few parts here printed up, and they turned out pretty darn nice. These are the shredder teeth, and I didn't know what I was doing, but within an hour, right, I'd say 2 hours of having this thing set up, I went on to Thingiverse, I downloaded these files. I was amazed that someone else already created these, and I started my first print, and there's lots of mistakes that were made setting this up. Leveling took me quite a while to get that all leveled, but I did get it leveled, and I got these prints off of it. Very nice. This is the beginning of the shredder here. I have these gears that go down, and you guys have seen the big reveal here. I actually took this one off earlier. This is one of the drive shafts that will sit in here, and then here's another one here. Learning all about printing supports. Make sure you use the print support feature. Yeah, this turned out really nice. And look at this. Can you guys see that okay? There we go. Look at the detail on that. I think it is just so cool. You know, you can sit here and you have an idea. You know, you go to school, you learn how to be an engineer, or if you're just a natural tinkerer, you know, someone who likes to just play with things and build things. 3D printing is like the ultimate turn your dream into reality type of thing. That's a slight exaggeration, of course, but the idea is there. You know, you have a thought, an idea, and you hit the print button, and it all comes out. Here's a handle. I don't know how I'm going to get that out of there. I got this little supports. You can see here, it prints the supports in there, so all that stuff right in there has to get taken out. And you got this little tool here, I guess. You reach in there, pretty much like so. There we go. no idea what I'm doing. So again, I don't want anyone thinking that I'm trying to tell you how to do things here, because I am learning. So before you go out and get a 3D printer and say, oh, I saw The Real Martian and he told me how to do everything, go watch someone else. I think there's other tools you can get here, make this job easier. I just haven't made it there yet. But let's see if we can get out here. Get you guys a live demonstration of The Real Martian's learning. Come on. There we go. Come out. You want to come out. You need to come out. There we go. Okay. Now here's the difference. There you go. See how that support's out of there now? All nice and clean. So that, I think, something like this, it's supposed to fit in there. It looks like it's going to need a little bit of sanding. This guy, whoever designed this, didn't do what I did, which was I put an actual tolerance in so that I wouldn't have to worry about that. But it's okay. Did it for free. I got it for free. Okay, so look at that. Parts just coming right off. They're real nice. And this is supposed to sit down in there. Ooh, that one's not so nice. Ooh, that is nice. Some of these, I didn't know about print settings and the resolution of the printer. Had to learn it the hard way, like most stuff in my world. Once I learned about printer settings, some of these turned out really, really nice because I used high resolution prints, and other ones turned out really quite poorly because I used low resolution. So let's see if I find an example here. This is the one I just printed. So here, this is see if you can see how shiny that is. See how that's nice and smooth, right? That's high resolution print. Let's see if I can get you this one here. See how totally not shiny that one is? Come on, focus. There we go. See all those lines in it? That's a low resolution print. And low resolution prints are a lot uglier than the nice shiny prints. See the difference? Yeah, here we go. See the difference there? So, learning the hard way. You got to make mistakes to learn. And that's what I am apparently very good at. So, let's see how many of these fit in here. Okay. I have to reprint some of them already. Total print time so far is about 3 days, which for what it is not bad at all. That sounds like a long time, but remember, you've thought of a part, and then you hit the print button, and you get the part. So that's still pretty darn cool. Those ones are kind of bad. I think most of them off this print that I did, not this last one yet. I think they're all going to be garbage. Not worth screwing around with. Okay, so we'll reprint those guys. That one's not horrible, but it's also not good. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those I need to reprint. These gears turned out real nice. These are gears that go on the outside to help it rotate. That's nice. And then you got a handle. We showed you that. Come on. Okay, I'm not stuck on there, lid. There we go. And we got some small parts here. Real easy. Nice and clean to put together. So we're going to have to do another print, but here's the general idea. Things go in here like so, and then the shaft goes down the middle of these, right here. There we go. Oh, he's got the tolerance on those ones. So it must have just been my lower, there we go, lower resolution prints. There we are. Now you might be wondering why some of them are white, some of them are orange. It's because the white stuff came free with the printer. The orange stuff I actually got when I bought this on Amazon. It actually came for free as well as part of the deal. They're just offering a deal on it, nothing spectacular. So yeah, so this sits in there. I'm gonna have to align it. Do that off camera. And then the other ones sit in here, and this whole thing rotates, and the teeth grab stuff, and they rotate towards each other. So you're gonna have some. It's gonna do this, like that. And then because these are so close, these lines right here, it actually forces the material down in between them. And that is the shredding that we want to get. So what we're going to have here when we're all done is the exact same concept that we would have for a full-size shredder, only, you know, very, very small, a fraction of the size. Whoops. So we can actually test out the concept. All I want to do is I want to take some manure and straw, and like some rinds, like lemon rinds or cantaloupe rinds, whatever, and lettuces, kitchen scraps, and I want to put them in here. I'm going to put my little crank on it. I'm going to crank it, and I'm just going to see, you know, how long does it take? Will it even suck it down in there? It should. It should. This is the exact same concept of a shredder that's used to, you know, destroy cars. So we'll see how it goes. But I need to set up some more prints here tonight, so I'm going to get that done and hit the go button. So hopefully one of my next videos will have this shredder all built, and we can do some testing with it. This is really cool. I'm really thankful to God just for blessing me with the ability to even know how to use it and to have the resources to be able to get this. I'm really quite grateful. This is cool. This is really cool stuff. This is fun engineering, right? This is why you go to school. It's why you sacrifice. It's why you spend the time in the library to learn. Or if you don't do the engineering, if you just do it from if you're a mechanic, you want to put stuff together. It's why you spend all the time out in the lab, in the workshop, trying to put this stuff all together. It is way cool. So I need to clean this stuff up off here. Keeping a clean bed is very important. I learned that the hard way as well. My stickum that you have, good old-fashioned Aquanet hairspray here. So now I need to clean this off, get it all started up, and get the next prints going. So that's going to be it. Just some background on the fish waste. I welcome everybody's ideas and concepts. It takes a village. So let's figure out an automated. A lot of you probably thinking just do it manually. I get that. Chances are I will end up having to do that a few times. I don't deny the logic of just doing it manually, but remember, bigger picture. We're trying to create a system that can deploy to everyday people who don't. The last thing they want to do is go out there and vacuum the fish pond, right? They got to take little Sally to soccer practice or Tommy over to football practice or whatever. The last thing they want to do is go out there and vacuum a fish tank. They're not going to care about living off the grid or anything like that, or homesteading. That's our target. That's who we're going for. So let's come up with some automated ways that we can get that fish poo off the bottom and up into the aquaponics. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give us a thumbs up and hit subscribe. Don't forget that you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and on Patreon. In the meantime, this is TheRealMartian, going to make more 3D prints.